All right, I think we're back, and we'll do a little bit more. We need to thank you, Brainless. Good to be back. We are going to do what we were. So what were we doing 4 minutes ago? So we have a signal that's emitted when texts are unlocked, and I suspect what's happening is that when you unlock a tech, or rather when you load a game, and we added a thing to emit the signal when the save is loaded, but I think that happens before everything else is in place, so there's nothing in place to receive the signal. So I think what we're doing right now won't work. Probably what I need to do is something we'll solve once we get there. Let me continue to troubleshoot this. So we added a message when the player input controller is ready, and so we are connecting to the signal, and we are logging when we get the signal. So that should be enough, because we'll see whether we get this log message at all, and we'll see when we see the ready. I guess we could also go into Tech Tree Manager and we have a message here when the Tech Tree is loaded, so we'll be able to compare those things and see which ones happen in which order, which is what I was trying to get to. So we'll start. We will interesting. So when we start, it must not remember the last slot we played out of. There we go, because now we can select another scenario. So we'll play this scenario. I'm going to pause, because by this point, everything that we care about should have happened. So, so here's player input controller ready. So there can't be a signal in the player input controller from the Tech Tree Manager before this. So we're looking for anything else from player input, and I don't see it. What about the Tech Tree? Tech Tree loaded, unlocked. So this is when it had loaded the first slot, and then when we loaded the second slot, it then was like, oh, you have 3 techs unlocked. But all of that happens before you actually start the game, which is where it switches to the main scene. So the main scene doesn't even exist at the point where that log line is happening, which is why this isn't going to work. And in fact, it's pointless in the Tech Tree Manager's load data to emit the signal. That does nothing. We could maybe we just need a method where we can ask it for things. I think there's 2 ways of doing this, right? One, well, it's interesting. So we already have a method in player input controller where we call it with a tech ID and it does a thing, right? So what I'm thinking here is that we should sync Tech Tree unlocks with attack effects. So then we should do something like Tech Tree Manager dot list unlocked techs, not connect. I'm not gonna do a for each. We're gonna say for tech ID in here, and then we just call that, right? We could do that, or we can make so either way we need to make a method on the tech tree manager. Either one where we can query information about unlocked techs, or one where we say, hey, you know all those techs you have unlocked? Emit the signal. And saying that, I don't think that makes sense, but I'll carry on the thought. Emit the signal that the tech was unlocked for all the techs that are unlocked. The reason I don't think that makes sense is because you have one party, the player input controller, asking for another party, the tech tree manager, to do a thing that then affects potentially many different parties, right? There could potentially be many different components of the system that are listening on that for that signal, right? Not just this. So I don't think we want to have it be requestable to just re-emit the events. Maybe it makes sense to have some kind of method that's like, okay, now the game is running, sort of thing. But I don't think you would call it you would probably call that from maybe the main script or something. I don't know. But I think I'm pretty happy with this. I wonder, instead of getting the tech IDs, yeah, I wonder if we should pass the tech ID or the node itself, like the resource. I guess there could be use cases where you just want the tech ID. And if I changed, like, to make this return, it'd be silly, right? Because if I didn't want to change the signal, but I wanted to have list unlocked text return the list of actual like resources of the text, then what am I going to do? I'm going to get the ID from the resource and call this, and then it's going to look it up again. Or am I going to make another method that takes the resource? Anyway, it's fine. We'll just have list unlocked text in tech tree manager somewhere in here that makes sense. You have a bunch of different things. So we have get text and branch. Is branch completed? Get unlocked building IDs. Reset tech tree. So somewhere like here, we'll make a function like this. Okay. So duplicate is a method that I guess exists on array. Returns a new copy of the array. By default, a shallow copy is returned. Well, there aren't any nested dictionaries or arrays or anything in this. Just strings. This is a string array, yeah. So there you go. That's easy. We just make a copy. We don't want to hand the actual unlocked tech IDs array back to the caller, because then what if they modify it? We don't want to allow that. So this would be better. This will mean once the player input controller is in place, it will set everything up based on the texts that are unlocked when the game starts, when the scenario specifically starts. A thing I was worried about is like, okay, what if something? Let's try it. Okay, let me restart the game. So the thing I'm thinking about here, let me go back to our slot. So we start the game, and I'm gonna pause and hit escape as well. And we'll look at the remote thing to see, is our damage multiplier now 1.25? That's the thing we want to know, right? So in attack effect, yeah, damage multiplier 1.25. We did it. It loads because we unlocked attack in the first scenario. The first scenario saved the slot because the save only happens when you beat the scenario. That saved the fact that we unlocked the tech. That then meant that when we play a different scenario, we also have the tech unlocked, and so the damage multiplier applies. Now, the question is there a bug where if we go back to the main menu, we make sure our slot is loaded and we start a game, and we pause. If I look at the attack effect, now Oh, good. It's the 1.25. So I was thinking, I guess there's not really a way to... Ooh, I have another. Let's restart. If I restart, and then I look, did we stack the damage again? The damage multiplier? We didn't. Okay, good. Okay, great. Hold on, let's look at something really quick. It's occurred to me that there are some unintended consequences in the attack effect resource, because we have a crit multiplier. Here we're combining those things together. So all of these things need to be like, if it's a multiplier, they need to be 1. If they are a chance, they need to be 0, right? So that when this stacks, it doesn't change other things unintentionally. Okay, but regardless, we have persistence of the damage multiplier and the other things. Okay, so going back to the list of stuff, it suggests adding placeholder T-reses for the double tap and shock click. And then test unlock. Yeah, we tested that. We didn't make a unit test. Honestly, what I'll do is I'll have Copilot go back after the stream and add unit tests for this pull request and then review them. Yep, I did that. Let's go ahead and create these other effects, double tap and shock click. So create a new resource, another attack effect. This is going to be tech shock click. Debating the naming of these files. Let's not overthink it. We'll just do that because it's a tech related attack effect resource, and it's for the shock click tech. We don't have so many techs right now that I need to worry about conflicts between different parts of the tree having similar names, so I'm not going to worry about it. What was the other one? Double tap. Tech double tap. Okay, so one of the things I think I will do for our resource attack effect is that we have these defaults. I want to make sure the default multiplier is 1 here. Because of the stacking again, right? So there we go. So if I go to double tap, what is double tap supposed to do? I don't know. You know, I have this UI element that I never show for the editor. How do I show it? I really should just make it like a separate tab up here instead of like a floating panel. But yeah. Editor docs, tech tree editor doc. Behold. Also, first, oh, okay, there we go. I was gonna say, why can't I drag that out further? All right, so there's like an auto layout thing here. There we go. So here are our techs. Okay, but I don't say anything about, okay, maybe down here. I'm gonna be right back. And one more time. All right. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna call it for today. Thanks so much for coming out to the stream. It's nice to have some company as I figure things out. So, hope you have a good rest of your Sunday, Brainless, and others. Yeah, thanks. And we will be streaming again, hopefully more this week. So until then, take care. Bye for now.